Alright guys, welcome back to another Diary of a Wimpy Kid video. Today we're reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid Evil Returns. The cover of it looks freaking insane, so let's get into it. Just loading. Monday. My life is... I got fired from my job, I got evicted, and now I'm practically living in my car. Now I could blame it all on a certain incident, but the truth is, my life has been long before that. I know I shouldn't be spending the last amounts of money I have on alcohol, but it may as well drown out my sorrows. I haven't written in this thing since the thing, but if you thought things were gonna get better, then you must be thinking of another story. I don't remember how many drinks I had, but when I went to get in the car, I barely kept myself standing. It was hard enough keeping myself afloat. I stumbled into an alleyway. Before long, I lost my balance and I was out cold. I must have blacked out for a while, but when I woke up, I heard noises. It sounded like chewing, and it was coming from behind the building, so I walked down to see what it was. I knew I must still have been drunk or something, because what I saw was not something a sober person would see. Holy crap. It was a weird cheddar cheese thing standing by a pile of body parts. I remember thinking it was going to come after me, but it just left. There's no way any of this is real. The cheese thing went away, but the corpse is still there. I'm just standing there waiting for the corpse to fade away, but it won't budge. I can hear police sirens, and I don't even know where to start. So much happened, but I guess I'll start with the fact that the corpse was real. Hands in the air! The cops put me in handcuffs and told me I was under arrest for suspicion of murder. They read me my rights, and next thing I know, I was back of a police car on a ride to the station. When we got there, they had me step out of the car and walked me through the police station. I was officially a murder suspect now, and I didn't know what I was going to do, but I sure wasn't going to get them to believe that a piece of cheese did it. The cops wrote down my name and information, and if my fate as a convict wasn't already sealed, then there was no question when they took my mugshot. After that, I had my fingerprints taken, and the cops walked me down the hallway until we got to a room, and they sat me down. After the cops sat me down, they said they wanted to ask me a few questions, and at first they weren't that bad, but then they started asking me things like why I was standing in front of a dead body. There was no way I was going to say that a giant cheese monster killed the guy, so I told them that I found the body when I was leaving the bar, and apparently that just made them even more suspicious, because they said that people don't usually stand around after they see a dead body. After they were done, they walked me out of the room, and when we got to the lobby, I could see that I was all over the news. The cops kept walking me until we got to a room where they had me change into a uniform. They told me that I'd be spending from now until my trial in jail, and I'd have the chance to make phone calls during that time. I never thought I'd be the type to see the inside of a jail cell, but soon enough, that's exactly where I was, and I wasn't alone either. There was a guy with me in my cell, and he did not look friendly. He said that I was looking at him funny. I said that I wasn't, and that someone in here was gonna get hurt real bad. That's when laughter started. I turned to look, and I saw a guy sitting in the back of the cell. I don't know what he was laughing at, but apparently my cellmate didn't share his sense of humor. You laughing at? At first, the guy didn't say anything, but when he said he was PD, and my cellmate wasn't exactly impressed. Oh yeah? Well, you're about to be 6 feet in the pavement. We went up and punched Petey in the face, and usually that'd be enough to knock a person out, but it didn't even faze Petey at all. He kept laughing, and eventually he said that it was his turn. I don't know how this is even possible, but Petey punched my cellmate. His arms stretched out like rubber. He sent my cellmate flying across the room, and I could barely believe that what I was seeing. Petey walked across the cell, and when he did, his legs and arms moved like a cartoon character. He went over to my cellmate, and that's when his whole body started to get really elongated. He opened his mouth, and what happened next was absolutely terrifying. Holy frick. Petey ate my cellmate, and all I could do was watch as my cellmate got torn apart by the teeth of whatever this thing was. I don't know what Petey was supposed to be, but he sure wasn't human. When Petey was done, he looked at me, and then just vanished into thin air. I was left looking at this absolute mess of a scene, and my cellmate's corpse laying on the ground in pieces. And I was pretty sure the cops weren't going to believe that. Some weird guy just showed up in my cell and did it. After a while, the cops eventually did come to my cell, and I'm sure you can guess who the number one suspect was. It wasn't long before I was on the ground with a gun pointed at my head. The whole time, I was just hoping that I wouldn't get my head shot off. Eventually, the cops forced me up and took me out of the cell. I could feel all the other inmates staring at me from their cells. And a mixture of fascination and terror as I walked down the hallway. We got to a room and the cops had me sit down. I tried to tell them that I didn't do it, and they just asked me who did. I didn't know how to explain what happened to them, so I just said that there was someone else in the cell with us, and they said that they do cell checks, and that's only me and my cellmate were in there. I started to think that it was no use, and that there was no way I could prove that I was innocent. Then I remembered that they had cameras, and if they caught what happened, it'd be proof that I was innocent. So I told them to look at the camera footage, and they'd see that I didn't do it. I guess they thought I was bluffing, since they said that they certainly would review the footage and that they'd make sure to tell me exactly what they saw. Once they're done, I honestly wasn't sure this would even do anything, since Petey could have the power to edit the footage, but I figured it was worth a shot. I waited for the cops to get back, and when they did, they had the two other cops who were in there watching me come out of the room so they could talk. I didn't hear much of what they said, but I did catch something about a malicious stalker. When they did eventually come back in the room, they did told me that they had seen the security footage and that I wasn't lying. They said that they would try to find out who the man was, and that it was possible that I was being deliberately targeted. They asked me if I knew who the man was. I told them I didn't know him personally, but that he said his name was Petey. They thanked me for giving them that information and said that it wasn't safe for me here and that I was going to be relocated tomorrow. They said that since I have no job, it would be best for me to be someplace near family, so that I'd have support. Then they revealed exactly where they were going to relocate me to. I was going to be relocated to Plainview. I swore I would never go back there, not after what happened last time. But the cops were right. There was no way I was going to be able to support myself or even have enough money to live on my own. Honestly, I didn't even know who would be able to support me. Mom and Dad are in the nursing home, and the last time I saw Uncle Gary, he was saying that the earth is flat. I guess maybe I could live with Uncle Joe, but I kind of just want to let him enjoy his grandkids and his wife making cookies. Then the cops said that they could try getting in contact with my brother and see if he would let me stay with him until I was able to get back on my feet. Now that I took me by surprise because last time I checked Roderick wasn't living in Plainview. I didn't think Roderick even lived anywhere since he was always on tours with his band, but I guess he came back to Plainview for whatever reason. After what felt like an eternity waiting for him to answer, he finally picked up the phone. He agreed to let me stay with him, and he said that he wouldn't always be around the house, but that he trusts me to handle it myself. After that was settled, the cops took me to another cell, and this time around, I don't think anyone's gonna mess with me. Now I'm just here writing about all this. I'm not sure what it's gonna be like going back to Plainview, but it's gonna be something I'm gonna try and get some sleep soon, because I'm definitely gonna need it for the trip back to Plainview tomorrow. Tuesday. Well, today's the day. After I was released, I changed back into my normal clothes and left the police station. I went over to my car, which I guess the police took to the station the night I was arrested, and soon enough I was on the road. Now the police believed I was innocent, but I guess the public didn't agree because when I drove through the streets, I saw a bunch of people holding up signs, and they did not look happy. Murderer, take a life, pay the price. We want justice. After I was done driving through all of that, I got on the interstate and headed towards Plainview. I was on the road for hours, and I had already eaten lunch by the time I was even close to where I was heading. But in the end, I did make it to where I was going, and sure enough, I was in Plainview. I went to go to Roderick's house when I got there, and that's when I realized that Roderick never gave me his address, so I pulled over and tried to call him. It took forever for him to answer, but eventually he picked up. Hello? I said hi, and he asked me what was up, so I told him I didn't get the address. Oh, sorry. Roderick gave me the address, and once we hung up, I started my car and set off to Roderick's. I got to his house and parked my car before I went up to his door. To give it a knock, soon enough the door opened and Roderick was there to greet me. You look like... I know. After I got done unloading all my stuff from the car into the guest bedroom, I went downstairs to watch TV. I flipped through the channels and found this show I liked called The Bachelor of Crossland High. Apparently, it's set in the actual Crossland High that I used to go to, and it's about this guy who asks out his crush and their relationship that ensues. I don't know how this guy does it, but let me tell you, it's not that easy. Maybe in another universe, something like that could happen to me, but in this one, I'm not as lucky. No way. Now, I might have liked the show, but Roderick walked in and he seemed to have a different opinion. You actually like this? I guess it makes sense that this wouldn't really be the kind of show Roderick would like. I spent basically the rest of the day watching it until it was time for dinner. Roderick let me borrow some money and I went out to some place to eat. After a while, I found a chicken finger place called Crunchy Fingers, which I guess is a relatively new place since I never saw it around when I was growing up. I figured that it'd be a good place to get something, so I parked and went inside. When I got inside, I saw that there was a bar, and the guys sitting at the bar weren't strangers. Greg, is that you? It was Craig and Tyson, Shirag and Tyson. They invited me to sit with them, and I'm not gonna lie, it was nice seeing familiar faces, especially after everything that's been going on. Shirag and Tyson said they come here to unwind every day after work, since they're always so busy. Unwinding was something I could definitely use too. So I suppose we were the three guys unwinding together. I didn't see a bartender, so I asked about it, and they said he was just back there making them drinks. And that's that he'd be back in no time. Soon enough, he came back and you wouldn't believe who it was. Now, Dennis Root was another person who went to my school, and he was one of the biggest bullies in middle school until about 3rd grade when my school started doing this massive anti-bullying campaign, and it was clear that the message was getting through. After that and throughout high school, Dennis never messed with anybody. Obviously, nobody messed with him just to stay on the safe side, but it seemed he turned over a new leaf. We walked for a bit, and apparently after high school, he joined the military and did stuff there for a while until he quit. Soon after that, he got a job here as a bartender. That's where he is now. After I got done eating my fingers, we hung out some more and talked until we decided it was time to call it a night and head home. When I got home, I turned on the TV to see if that show I liked was still on, but it was just something else. He can't even do, or can he? I couldn't find anything, so I turned on the news to see what was going on there. As you all know, when I lost Bailey, I was devastated. I could barely even... Sorry, I'm getting emotional. But after all that grieving, I'm proud to announce that I found a new love of my life, and we're about to get married. Now that seemed fairly normal, but just as they were in the middle of the story, they got interrupted. 3 dead bodies have just been found in downtown Plainview. They said the bodies were each found in separate places in mutilate... I don't know what that means, or how to say it. Beyond recognition. They also said that they were found around the same time and that there could be multiple perpetrators. Now I knew deep down what was really going on, but I didn't want to believe it. Pretty soon, there would be no more room for denial. Furthermore, video surveillance has captured a man walking away from the murder scene. They played the footage. I got a good look at who the man was. Now, that was already bad enough, and I thought it couldn't get any worse, but that was just the icing on the cake. This just in, a 4th body has been discovered, along with a disturbing message at the scene, which authorities still don't know the meaning behind. They showed a picture of the scene, and when I saw the message, my blood ran cold. Welcome home, Bubby. Oh, crap. That's Petey is Manny. Petey Man. Holy crap. Alright, that was part 4. I think there might be another one, so make sure to go follow Mr. Mystery 586 on Reddit, because this series was insane. So, yeah, see you guys.